teams with 15 points, 13 points certainly can get themselves towards a decent victory off the back of it. Towards the eastern side does allow some of these teams that haven't quite got towards the ridge side yet, haven't quite got inside the circle, to be playing on some of these compounds. Through with Lord also stopping short there. Freak goes down to a shot from Regiocio as they have been holding on a pretty strong position on the highest bit of ground. Almost guarantees you to live out the rest of the game, but difficult to get here early enough to take control of it, but Rejects certainly have.
Rough as well, Blank, because it's giving me flashbacks of what we were seeing from Nigma Galaxy previously, you know, when they were kind of leaving themselves so late on the rotates that they would just sort of drive around like this ice cream van that everyone knew was 3 points because you could just take pot shots at them. They wouldn't have any quick plans, didn't have any backup positions to go to, and they were loading themselves into 1 or 2 vehicles. So it kind of felt like a clown car, you know, you just pepper bullets into it, you're going to guarantee to find yourself 1 or 2 eliminations as long as those shots connect. So that's been rough. Not really been the way they wanted this to play out, already losing a bit of manpower and being forced into a 3-player setup. Mad Balls on the horizon here as they've pulled up to the party slightly behind Udo Alliance. Now, Udo do have a big position, so much high ground, so much of an understanding of where everyone else is situated, and a prime position to just take pot shots down the hill. If Mad Balls can make it uncomfortable and potentially force a fight here, that's one that will decide a lot in terms of a power play position.
Yeah, difficulty for Udo Alliance is leaving this hilltop, right? You know, moving down towards Team Queso have got pretty open sight lines towards them. It's just rough for them. And with Mad Balls kind of penning them in now, that has caused issues for them too. I do like what Mad Balls are doing though. They realize that that position is not going to be too strong for very long, so it's not worth continuing to harry on in terms of those third parties. They'd rather just move north through Graveyard, deny those sight lines and try and get into a better spot. And we move further back over towards the western side. So it's a bit of a flip-flop circle, but any team that's continuing to hold down their positions over on the high ground on that ridge are feeling quite happy about themselves. Reject couldn't sort of afford to give up their position too early, so they will hold on to it, move a little bit further down towards the concrete. Just 1 player remaining now in Lord over for Nigma Galaxy.
Oh, Nigma Galaxy, man. They've just had so many unlucky rotates, so many unlucky repositions where they leave themselves susceptible so late and just get battered because of it. You know, here they basically found Shedville and decided to poke up inside one of the shacks, barely staying alive with a few smokes to break up the lines of sight. You're incredibly low though, and even if they reset and get those reses off, that's still going to be 3 players with low HP with no real getaway plan. Ooh, Faye taking heavy hits. It's Inco as Vitali, through the window, peeks in and spams a few of those off. Substantial distance as well, so clean connections to actually make it a little bit harder for FaZe on this one. And Udo Alliance moving down now, actually creating a bit of space from themselves. They've realized there is a potential third party to be had a little bit further down the hill for themselves. So they'll be sizing up that one and seeing where they can slot themselves in. Meanwhile, Rook with the connection on Queso. Queso currently the top squad, Blank, as they lead with 42 points.
Parajin off in the distance, getting taken shots out by FaZe. FaZe, I would say, have had a bit of a late rotate here, but they are finding some eliminations where you were free from before. I respect that. Influence Rage over towards BTR, already taking a knock there. So we'll continue the fight a little bit longer. Superboy, Satar split off one another. Kayovsky sends a nade over the top. Satar has to bank out the way, but there should be sight lines on the side. Satar does go down eventually.
Falls off. Finished off now for good as Influence Rage will commit. Oh, Uni peeking over the top of their hill. That'll be a headshot as well. Influence Rage starting to show some of the potential power that they have in that gun skill now. Hitting some of these bigger shots And they need another big game. We've got to see Influence Rage really let themselves out of the cage here. Keep pushing themselves further up the standings. You're not safe in fourth. You're not safe with only 35 points just yet. DX aggressing back in with the nades. Levi's tries his luck with the Molotov as well. Wants to ignite Cluck and leave him burning. Send him off to the Burns ward for good. And he's going to move up now, looking for the close quarters engagement as he tries to push through the smoke line. Widespread as well with the way they're playing this. Nades coming in from his teammates to support also as Levi lines up another one.
Yeah, and I think for DX, they realize they need to keep pressuring Udo Alliance. It's a 2v4, and they've made it into a 2v3, so necessary. They keep the pressure on. They do find the knock and the flush off the back of that. So we're in a 2v2. Can DX hold on to the 2v4 here, Jackie?
It's a good question, Blank, and they're going to need to show us their absolute all as DX are in the thick of it. Levi's, the lethality's clean, even got the connection off with the last few rounds there, but it's not going to be the team in front. It's FaZe all the way in the back that put the pressure on and third party to steal it.
That could have been the 2v4 from DX as well versus Udo Alliance. I mean, you've got to give all props to Udo Alliance there. The fact they were able to get off from that hilltop, it is really not an easy push whatsoever. But Levi's and Chow, again, those DX nades coming in clutch. With Levi's in the close range as well, he is really nifty with it. Very, very fun stuff indeed. Circle, again, another hard shift down towards this southeast side. So many teams suffering off the back of this one. Likely that Enigma Galaxy, Brute Force all don't make it through this. Brute Force would have to make a very, very quick and swift push over towards Reject and the concrete on that western edge if they wanted to have a hope in hell of surviving this. But yeah, this has been a set of really difficult circles for all these teams. Mad Bulls surviving though. They've not got the most points here, and I think for those 15 they would love to get themselves a chicken dinner. They did a lot better on that last angle, got themselves set up in a pretty precarious spot on the eastern edge of the ridge, but luckily for them they're not having to move further towards that western side, so they can try and hold out some of these teams, but they do not have that high ground advantage.
Big Milo certainly does, though. He is the big boy on the server right now. Punish here. FaZe have been third partying with some very well placed bullets. They've been using the timing to a good position to find some freebies. Influence Rage though, oh, they've really had to fight for everything they get here. None of it has been for free. None of it has been easy. And they go down as FaZe will be able to lay claim to not only the points, but a big takedown, stopping Influence Rage from absorbing any more points here onto the first Miramar.
Yeah, they move up into position, and whilst Ventoris tries to pick up his teammate, Team Queso sort of stuck on the edge here. They've got a wide split going on right now, and Big Milo has been hitting some nasty shots with a Mini 14, just placing these bullets directly on the target so easily. They're just sticking to him. It's been very nice to see from Team Queso holding it down on this 2-2 split, but I think even they realize that now is probably the time to regroup, reassess the scenario of
ke arah lobi. Berkurang kembali dan 9 tim tersisa kali ini. PJEV mereka diuntungkan oleh zona dari tadi, tapi saat ini mereka harus bergerak masuk ke dalam zona, Jelly.
Ya. Ya, mereka masuk ke dalam zona dari Persija Evos. Sampai di mana kita ternyata sudah ada fight di bagian pinggiran di arah jam 10. Cukup ramai ya, tiba-tiba 9 tim
as well, as they had to fight versus a duo from Mad Bulls. They got one of the guaranteed full in the overall game. IHC and Reject Tokyo, though, potentially about to have a bout here as they are on top of one another. Very close by in terms of the spacing. High ground does fall in favor of Reject. They can peer down the hill and look to try and get an angle on this. See if they can land some shots. Evos close by as well, as what remains of Duckstan start to try and spelunk their way across. See if they can climb on up slowly but surely. Worried about the peak from the ridge side as well, and that's Rook that's been detected. Hoxie bursts out a collection of bullets, putting the thunder on them. But none of those really landing, not connecting, so just giving that information up, and that means Evos now know where Ducksan are playing from, and they just peek into him blank, confident to take the fight with the advantage, hitting the first shots. Evos can't fully commit though with how much damage was done off of that shot, so it's the rest of the team that needs to pick up the pieces, looking for an angle on this one as Redface goes in with the nade.
I mean, Misery's been kind of sick with it today, honestly. Some really nice shots coming through from him. Some great nades on that last game too, but as Redface opened things up over towards Ducksound with Junie going down. Hoxie sends away, but is visible. Can he hit all the shots he needs? Not quite just yet. In the meantime, AHC currently being dealt with by Reject, but this could go either way. Team Queso find a shot over towards Mormon. Big Milo still holding down the fort on that northern edge versus Rook. FaZe. It's a big test for them. Can they go toe-to-toe with the big dogs in the lobby as they send directly over towards them? In the meantime, it's Redface takes down the last player from the Mad Bulls. FaZe attempting to hold on to this one.
FaZe, what can you do for us? We know that they are absolutely monstrous on Miramar when they're playing well. They've had some big moves already today, and Queso are gone. Finished off as FaZe will hit their shots and take out the first place team to build themselves all the way up to 8 eliminations, breaking into that 5th place spot and looking to climb even higher once these points are totaled up. Redface with the strike back on the Hoxie shuts down Ducksan, so they're also gone. Say goodbye to the South Korean representation that we have here on the first Miramar. IHC still lurking in the depths beneath Reject Tokyo. One player in Alex, though, has been slowly climbing and looking to make a bit of a flank on this. He'll be the one trying to make a play a little bit later. We'll see how well that works, as it seems like he takes his shots onto Osio and does actually connect, finishes him off as Osio was looking to fight onto Evos. Now the rest of IHC want to climb on up blank. They want to help out with this.
Yeah, IHC managed to get themselves up here. Alex has done a fantastic job to get himself in position. Now they're fighting face-to-face versus the Reject squad. Incredible stuff from Alex. He has been so phenomenal today. We said they needed placement points, and this looks like a game where they might be able to get some of them. Sara just about gets his way down, doesn't take a single lick of damage as he sticks the toes into the wall side. Lufa's able to get Alex out of the way with the DPS, and Sara might be able to go for the surprise play on the side.
Sara, big set of biceps on him, a mean right hook. If he can sneak up, if he can play the timing whilst his teammates even bait for info, firing out some shots to keep the attention, he could get a huge shutdown onto IHC. They've handled Alex, who was the most focal point of it, so it should be a little bit easier than what they've already had to deal with. FaZe on the move, taking some heavy hits, but Mela will cruise control them into a better position. IHC looking to strike. Sara has been spotted, so he's not going to go off on that one. His flank is for naught, and the numbers are dwindling. Reject Tokyo down to just one. Eugene with a fadeaway shots blank. Not quite getting that one.
Luxy gets a look at the draw on that one, able to survive out, but it's Luke from that top side takes him down, but not before Redface can get the immediate refrag on towards it. Inco gifted a very free game here. With the circle in play, gives me sort of flashbacks over towards last PMGC, last chance, where Inco was getting a lot of these central shifts, but it comes a little bit late for them here on this Miramar. They've got 6 eliminations though, and with a chicken dinner would see themselves very happy in terms of point scoring right at the end of the day. IHC still going strong. Root attempting to push over towards them. It's Redface with a Lynx AMR, actually taking a massive shot over towards some of these other teams.
IHC starting to crumble away now. It's all on Godless, and he gets swung on. The full frontal assault even enough to finish him there. But it's Redface in the back with the snipe that deals the damage as well, hitting that. And now pushing in, closing the gap on Rook. Mate, this is huge for them. Suddenly, they bumped themselves up on the elims to some new heights and still got potential to try and squeeze out some extra placements on this. They're into the final 4.
The fact that Redface got 8 eliminations is a massive count from these guys. Squash, though, finds the shot over towards Mormon with the nade. Will explode him out of the way here. Mela maybe looking for a little bit more on this game, but that'll be all she wrote. Just 2 teams remaining. Redface and Inko. Inko looking to finish things off here, but Redface should be more than proud of himself with an incredible match ahead of him. 8 eliminations here, tosses the nade over the top, but it should just be done as Nenebeche picks it up with the S12K. Like I said, very free game there for Inco. They don't seem too happy about it. It is just one that's given to you by the circle itself, but I think all eyes got to be on Redface that game. He was playing a blinder of it, plus also the little engagement between Team Queso and FaZe cannot be forgotten. The fact that FaZe wins that out versus the current #1 team in the lobby, that is a big statement to be made.
It's huge for them. It goes to show as well, Blank. I mean, maybe one of the elements that's missing here to FaZe Clan's success is just the battleground. When we get to Miramar, you know, we're starting to see those trends where they're delivering, they're playing with such confidence. You've still got one more Miramar to play out today as well. So if FaZe very quickly bouncing back and looking an awful lot better than what we had seen from throughout the course of the majority of the day, it's huge. It's huge to see, and it really does bode well. Evos as well, I completely agree with you, man. Like, Redface was hitting some sickening shots, but the team was just playing well. The standings are getting so tight now with the way that things are starting to shift. Fair play to Inco, though. You still got to roll with the punches. You know, those chicken dinners aren't totally free. You still got to earn them to a degree, and they were able to pick up the pieces on that one. And they need some points, Blank, relatively far down the standings as well, so that'll at least give them a little bit more of a supply to play with.
Exactly. I think we can't really forget about what Procedure Evos did on that previous game, Arango, right? They got themselves a second place versus DX. And I think there might just be like this hidden little gem within all the squads that we've not been talking about enough, right? Even though it's been just slow, quiet gain of those points. Someone that's not slow or quiet, it's the fast and loud Jason Kaplan.
Yeah, another great game here coming in. Thanks so much, Blank and Jackie. It's been a phenomenal game as we got to see Inco take themselves a victory here, but in very similar fashion to what we saw on our first Airgill. Sitting in the compound forever, getting blessed by the zone. But to be fair to Inco, I think this was a massive game they desperately needed. Clark's put up a really good point of saying some of these teams in these single digits in our leaderboards, if they don't have a big game today, then they're not going to have a chance to qualify. And I think Inco might have just given themselves that second life, Lars.
Yeah, definitely. With a compound like that, I mean, again, it's been an odd day because they were sat in this compound for 17 minutes, similar to some of our previous games. Oh, the links. Nice, Redface. That was cool. But yes, you've still got to be able to win the fights that eventually come your way, despite having the compound. And they did so, whilst all of these teams were trying to scramble down from that high ground on that west side. So, and Nenebeche especially, lots of damage coming in from him. We always expect him to shine when given an opportunity like this, and they take it with both hands.
Yeah, and you could even see in their celebration, like, okay, well, we have the compound, so
yeah,
yeah, pretty easy chicken din on this one. But 21 points to show off for this first Miramar. Though also really strong performance from the Siege Evos. They were in 6th position just before this match, of course, just on the brink of making in top 5. 16 points, that's going to allow them to jump up a significant amount on the rankings. So massive game, and of course, there's a bunch of storylines that were unfolding in this tournament that I'm really happy. And one has been FaZe, Kalaris, that it really feels like ever since that last game of survival stage, their whole mindset has changed. That we're not just going to be the passive team that gets in circle. We are going to start blasting and getting that damage in a similar sense to Redface. That's just been shredding it this game, it seems. Wow.
That's what'll happen when you've got the Lynx AMR in your hands, right? It's interesting a gun. It makes the best noise in the game. You don't get to see it too often, but there we are. But you're right about FaZe. I mean, like, looking at how they're playing things out, they just look more confident in their edge fighting abilities. I mean, given the position that they're in this game, it's very unlikely you're going to be able to get towards the center to be able to play for the win. So why not just shoot at everything? And they're doing that really well at the moment.
Well, we see Team K still going to fall to second place as Procedure going to be able to take first for themselves. But it's not too big of a gap, to be honest. If you look at between first and let's say sixth place, it's a 6-point difference. So you really could have any team break through into top 5 at this rate, or at least look to solidify. But we are starting to see those drop-offs happen as we go further and further down the list. 10th to 11th, Inco, obviously the back of that victory, able to catapult themselves into 10th place, but they still have, honestly, a ton of work left to do. I think one of the biggest letdowns we've seen so far, though, in the last chance stage, and unfortunately, I have to call them out, it's going to be Enigma Galaxy. They had a great second day in survival stage, but we're seeing more of like day one Enigma Galaxy. Last place, I would never have said they're going to be bottom 2, bottom 1 right now within our last chance. They have the potential to be so much higher, but something is not working in the team.
I would agree, Jason. It looks like the biggest upset so far we've seen of the survival/last chance stage. It's a bit interesting because I was looking back on the circle and they had actually a really good compound on the western side of that cliff, a little bit away from all of the madness happening on the cliffside. So it was a really good spot. But they just don't move fast enough, and because of that, a lot of teams like your Brute Force, like your Reject, like your Procedure Evos actually kind of leapfrog their position, and then you're just going to have that natural wall defense set up in front of you, and you're never in 1,000 years going to be able to make that transition. So Nigma, they're really good at understanding strong positions, but I just need to see a little bit of a quicker reaction because teams in this lobby are so quick to react that if you just take 30 seconds too long to move, you are going to be gate-kept so heavily, there's no chance you're going to survive. So Nigma just got to be a little bit fast on the pivot if they want to have a chance to get those placement points and maybe eliminations too.
Speaking of faster on the pivot, Klars, I did ask you, I think, during the survival stage, Rook, are they a top 5 team? And I think in our heads, and I think you kind of said, no, you don't really expect them to be a top 5 team, but I'm wondering if you've had a change of thought because they're still maintaining. They got another 8 points this game. They are proving to be a team to mess with, though, not necessarily being as flashy as we'd like to see out of a CCT.
Yeah, you can't really argue too much with the numbers that they're putting up, right? Like in terms of them in the previous stage and being able to, as I say, default getting himself MVP, can't really argue with the numbers. It's quite conclusive in the statistics, but I still do think if you were to say to me, okay, are they a top 5 team here for this? I'd still say no. I still think that they're stronger teams than them, but if they're able to surpass those expectations, I mean, more power to them. We'll see as time goes on.
Well, I'm wondering if I asked you who our top 5 casters in PUBG Mobile are, and if these two gentlemen would make the list. Let's throw it back over to Jackie and Blank to take us into our final match of the day.
I can't count, but I assume that that's good. Top 5, Blank.
Yeah, top 5. I'll take a top 5 any day of the week. That's good for me. But heading into the old last game of the day and see who ends up in the top 5 of the leaderboards. Obviously, that last game sent Procedure Evos up to 45 points. Really good stuff from them. I've been happy with Procedure Evos. It's been kind of a quiet climb from them. I don't think we've talked about them too much overall, but it just shows you what like those consistent points can do in these games. I think the other big surprise is FaZe. 3rd place. Udo Alliance still with the happy faces on board, still going strong with it. They're in 6th place right now, just a little bit behind from that top 5 position. It's still possible for them to do at the end of the day to see themselves in a good spot for tomorrow.
And I think this is, really where we do kind of get that most accurate depiction of how things are looking, because now all the squads know that this is the last game of the day. You have to really answer any questions going into this one. Be able to farm up those extra points, play smart, play prelims, play for placement, and get some big games out of it. Kind of have to, wipe the previous games out of your memory at this point and reset a little bit. Come in fresh, treat this one as just the best of one, just the opening drop, and that's all you got to think about. Because a lot of these teams need points right now. We've seen some big clutches in our last games of Miramar. FaZe showed up massively yesterday in the survival stage. Can they do it again here and continue the strength that we were seeing from them in the previous Miramar? Time will tell, but this is it. Last game of the day here as we kick things off for the last chance. After this, there's only 6 more games tomorrow, and we will know our top 5 squads. It's all to play for as the finals are on the line.
Pretty grim playing path to start things off here. Sad for Gladiators as well. I mean, Kitsune even had his water stolen away from him in that last bit. And those boys desperately need a refresh, honestly, because that last game, BTR taking them out early, made them suffer. But there are bigger teams on the table to be talking about. I want to see FaZe keep up this kind of performance. You mentioned that it just seems like Miramar is their kind of map. And even from a pretty bad position there, FaZe was still able to get themselves the 3rd place on the board with quite a few eliminations. Like we said, taking down the big dogs in Team Queso on that engagement, a full 4v4 ensuing. Interesting games ahead of us. Inco sort of got themselves a really cheeky little victory there, directly centered up on that compound, and it's fairly impossible to win if you're outside that compound. As long as the team plays it well, you can just sit there all game long. So Inco gets a very much needed breath of fresh air in terms of a free chicken dinner on the board, but we're headed over towards the southwest side of the map. Always interesting games on this position. You got the 2 big high grounds between the valleys of La Triera. We will see exactly who comes up on top here. Enigma Galaxy desperately need some points. The boys on the desk were pointing out that they just cannot handle that second zone, right? If they don't have an initial good rotate, it's pretty much donezo for them. 16th place team, currently 5 points. It is looking rough for them.
It certainly is, mate. Rough and not ideal at all. That's probably not the way you want to kick things off either. You get absolutely rocked, basically just taking an elephant rifle bullet to the face, and then you get murked with Superboy's tires. Well, oh man, I don't even know what to say, Blank, for Enigma Galaxy, because it really has just kind of been, you know, like back-to-back worst case scenarios happening again and again. Such a shame, considering, you know, this is sort of what we were seeing from them in survival stage, where it felt like it wasn't really that crisp, it wasn't really that clean in the decision making. And then they reinvented themselves, looked fantastic, kind of made us think, you know what, maybe there is a lot more to the story here, but I don't think so. I think some of the pages have been ripped out of their book.
Yeah, just not gelling at all, really. And I mean, just like Ralph gets caught up in the wheels by Superboy, they've been getting caught up in the wheels of their own. Their vehicle rotates just haven't been looking decent. FaZe opts to go for a Chumacera drop. No way from Picardo at the start of the game here, giving that one up over towards some of the lads on Inco, who dropped just underneath San Martin. We're going to get a replay on this one. Was this a mid-air shot? Oh my God, Lepar, bro. That is a horrific way to start your game. I mean, we said it was a bad start, but getting knocked out the air before you can even begin to play, that is even worse. Enigma Galaxy suffering now. IHC, Mongolia massive on this side, 8th place right now, 35 points. Their eliminations looking amazing. Placement points, on the other hand, not quite there just yet, but again, I feel like this is a team that could easily squeeze themselves up into the top 5 at the end of tomorrow, just because they've already shown that they're happy to go toe-to-toe with some of these other big squads. Just need to go for some more consistent rotations, realistically, maybe not fight as many teams, and they'll be clear and easy into that top 5. But I think this last game on Miramar still matters quite a bit to them. They want to get themselves in a good springboard position to hit that top 5 tomorrow. So for IHC, this means less fighting, please.
Yeah, a little bit less. Calm it down somewhat. Ooh,
Oh,
mate.
Enigma Galaxy.
It's Coops as well, Blank. Oh, I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to describe this. They're just getting run over. It's like roadkill. It's like roadkill time and time again, Blank. You know, they're just in the middle of the road. The chicken tried to cross the road. The chicken is gone. It's been eliminated. And that chicken is called Enigma Galaxy.
This is grim. It's squashed up against the wall there for Coops as well. Inco will be happy with a 3 point they grab off of that one, but you know what, with that, I'd even go as far to say I think the Enigma Galaxy are just done now. That is their run over in day one. This is just how it works in Last Chance. Unless Enigma Galaxy comes out swinging tomorrow with 3 chicken dinners in a row, it is just very unlikely they'll make it in. Duxan and Brute Force equally in a struggling position. EU has been having a horrible day of it. Mad Bulls and Gladiators not been able to get in towards any somewhat of a decent position. I think for Reject, there's still hope there. I think that with the way they've been playing, on the other hand, as opposed to maybe Mad Bulls and Gladiators, like there's been some attempts, some really good attempts at getting towards that top side. taking some really good central positions. I just don't think right now their gun skill is up to scratch versus some of these other teams in the lobby.
Yeah, it seems like they need a little bit more, a little bit extra firepower potentially under the belt. Sometimes it's been a bit fragmented for them as well, you know, where normally you're looking at players like Sarah, you're looking at the rest of the roster with OCO as well to kind of go that extra mile, whereas today it's felt like at times they're sort of passing the baton, but they're not all hitting the mark at the same time. And I think that has been a bit of a problem. Zol here ringing off the dinner bell, making his presence known, just kind of putting himself on the map against Queso as he shoots some bullets their way. Evo's on screen as well, and that's Law from Influence Raid. That's been spotted. Okay, if they want to aggress onto this, potentially they could find an opportunity to funnel him in, kind of, you know, sheepdog him into where they want him to be. So he does run down into this little gulch, gets exposed and finished off. So Law has been taken out by Zuxi, and they'll take that one to the bank.
Yeah, the two twins in full force here today. Look to pick up some big points again. Sort of the storyline that we've been setting up for a long time now. This year, both Zuxi and Luxi slowly but surely getting back on that motorbike in terms of the PUBG mobile gameplay. And if Pasija Evos can make it back to PMGC, that will be one hell of a legacy to have. Because Zuxi and Luxi had such a big downtrend over the last couple of years. And now back to form, back to PMGC. Back to really hitting some big numbers and not just going out with a fizzle. Currently in first place right now. Reject moving up towards IHC. The big time eliminators on side. Nades over the top, doing quite a bit of splash damage as well. And Reject realizes, get out of here. This is not worth it.
Yeah, reject the offer of this fight and peace on out. You don't have to deal with it. You don't have to commit in tunnel vision. Ooh, could be a close quarters engagement on the drive-by though. Lufa, ooh, he just goes straight past the front door and will avoid it. Doesn't get taken down. So map geometry now coming into effect. They want to get themselves downhill and find somewhere safe to post up like gangsters. Pull into a building. OCO, just when he thought he was safe, it was Duksan, a South Korean squad lurking in the back as Hoxie will deliver a knocking blow and leave them on their knees. Peeking back in to watch this as well.